Eat, Breathe, Thrive is a nonprofit organization that aims to prevent and help individuals fully overcome food and body image challenges. This includes people who have typical eating disorders like anorexia and bulimia and binge eating disorder, but also people who just struggle with run-of-the-mill food and body image challenges.
And the program is the Yoga of 12-Step Recovery, and we call that Y12SR. And what we do is weave together the ancient wisdom and practices of yoga with the 12-step program, the well-known 12-step program for working with addiction recovery.
The work that I do is bringing yoga practices to people who are incarcerated. And that's a large population in the United States. It's 2.25 million people in the United States.
Yoga for Cancer has 2 levels of service that it provides. And the first one was what I started with, which was teaching Yoga for Cancer classes to patients and survivors. Now the other group that I serve are yoga teachers who are maybe they are just compassionate individuals who recognize that there is going to always be someone with cancer in their class and want to provide them with a good, safe healing practice.
So mindful yoga therapy is a complementary program that's used in conjunction with psychotherapy in a clinical setting. We help men and women that are recovering from post-traumatic stress gain the ability to have these tools to manage their symptoms and to live fuller and better lives.
The adaptive program is for wounded, ill, and injured men and women who are still serving or are part of a Wounded Warrior Battalion or have finished their service and are veterans. And the action that we take with these men and women on an adaptive level is meeting them where they are. And as we meet them where they are, it gives them hope that the future will be different from them, where they don't stay in their injury or with their wounds or with their illness.
The Give Back Yoga Foundation is a 501(c) program that supports yoga teachers who want to bring this practice to unserved and underserved populations.
Here to Be is a social impact program designed to serve the service community. We have grants available for nonprofits that are doing community-based yoga programs, and the work really starts at the community level with our stores. In 2016, we currently have over 400 stores worldwide that get funds and a green light to donate product to yoga service organizations. And we also partner with bigger organizations that are doing this work at scale. And so we're here to serve as much as the people who are in the work are serving their communities too.
Yoga service is essentially about taking the tools of an ancient contemplative practice and bringing them to people who are suffering. And in particular, bringing them to communities that might experience more suffering or may not have access to the tools for dealing with their suffering.
I think in the work that I do with veterans and students who are still serving with injury, illness, that we're really bringing them back into their bodies and giving them a fuller life and giving them hope for the future.
I equate yoga service with karma yoga. And karma yoga is the yoga of action. Another way of looking at that is taking your yoga practice and putting it into action in the world.
The experience of yoga is something we can't really talk about. We can't put it into words. It's beyond anything you can conceptualize. It's the experience of what in yoga we refer to as samadhi. So it's this experience of boundlessness, of going beyond the beyond. And to get to that place is a long journey, you know, that, and part of, once you have that experience, when you realize that if one of us is hungry, all of us is hungry, then you can't help but become a karmic yogi.
The power behind yoga service is the intention with how we work, and I think yoga is why it's a great practice. Is it's a roadmap of how to live well, and yoga service for me is more about yoga being in the eyes and the heart of the server, as opposed to the actual practice or the way that it's being introduced to the people.
The way that I feel most passionate about yoga service is that it's an opportunity for people to change the world.
Yoga service has the capacity to help individuals who are suffering learn healthy coping techniques and find a sense of home in their own skin.
It changes people's lives. I see that in very almost immediately when someone comes full of fears and doubts about what they can do to help themselves, and in a very short period of time find the value of yoga to change their life, and to return and come back time after time as they see themselves recovering.
Recently I got a note from a Vietnam War veteran who has become a yoga teacher, and he's now off of 23 meds. So a life has been saved, and he's part of a community of veterans. And now through our Mindful Yoga Therapy program, we're bringing yoga to lots of veterans around this country.
At a communal level, I think yoga has this incredible way of bringing down barriers. I think so often we hold the parts of ourselves that feel most vulnerable deep inside, and we don't let anyone see it. And as a result, we end up feeling very lonely, very misunderstood. We feel like no one out there gets it, but it's also because we're putting on a front. And I think yoga asks us to be with the moment as it is, and to be with other people as they are, and to be with ourselves as they are. And there's this magical thing that happens to people who practice yoga in a group, where they start becoming more vulnerable with one another. And they start being more willing to offer a hand and to say, hey, I've missed you over the past couple weeks, and you seem really sad. What's going on? I'm around for a cup of coffee.
As Gandhi says, when you've got to be the change that you want to see in the world, and we've seen over and over again when we act in a certain way, the power that it has on the people around us. And we are seeing that over and over now in the yoga community, how one person is influencing many. But then when we take that attitude out of the yoga room and we act and serve in a certain way, well, it's catchy, and people catch on and they go, wow, why is this person doing that? And let me try it, and it feels good.
Yoga as a practice has a number of tools that are cost effective and outcome effective. So I think yoga could have a major impact on our healthcare system. So I think yoga could reduce the cost of treating certain illnesses. I think in the case of eating disorders, yoga has the potential to reduce relapse, to improve the effectiveness of treatment, and to provide support systems for those who would not otherwise be able to access treatment.
In the work that I do in the world, seeing how it has impacted me and made me into a better, just a better human being on the planet. And I've seen what it does in communities. I've seen how when there is a restoration to wholeness, which yoga facilitates, that it ripples out into families, and then those families are a part of communities, and then those communities are a part of cities, and so the effect just ripples on and on and on, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
firsthand, I know that the smallest step is being accepting of whatever may come onto your path. So finding your passion and knowing what you care about.
Well, you could start by just donating your time to something that you feel really is important in the world. So maybe just give a couple hours a week to something that you feel will help change the world.
Getting started in yoga service just requires one small step. People often think it's, that they have to jump in with some huge project. And I always think the first step you can take is just to say hello to the person at the checkout counter when you're buying your groceries, or help someone across the street. Just these simple acts of kindness.
There's no greater reward than to be of service once again to another person.
25 years ago when I started practicing yoga, I started practicing asana in a gym that was sort of a fitness class. And before I knew it, I was exploring yoga studios and different teachers and trying to understand what was happening, because something was happening. I just wasn't clear. There's this mind-body connection that happens when you start to connect breath and asana. And then there's this meditative process that happens whether you know about it or not.
The flipping the switch is really looking for the opportunity to have that one interaction with one person, because all you have to do is feel it. You feel it once, the switch is flipped.
You think about the ripples, the ripple effect, and if one person can make a little ripple that'll attach to another person to make a little bit of a wave, then can attach to a community and make it a broad more sense of the work that we're doing.